What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 33 of Destination Talk. I'm John Paz.
And I'm Harry, and we are coming to you once again from Chop Studios, located at 750 Route 34 in Maplewood, New Jersey. And today we are joined by Coach Anthony Nunez, the head coach of the New York Empire Ultimate Frisbee team. Yes, we have branched out to a new sport here on Destination Talk, and we are glad to have Coach Nunez in studio with us to talk a little bit about it. Coach, welcome to Destination Talk. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome. So, can you give us a little brief history of who you are?
Sure. Brief is tough. Because,
Take as much time as you need, then.
Yeah,
We got all day.
So I'm Anthony Nunez. I have been involved in Ultimate Frisbee since I was in like 7th or 8th grade. So like early 90s. And I got to play at the birthplace of Ultimate, which was Columbia High School in New Jersey. And then after high school, I decided that I wanted to take on more of a coaching role right out of college. So I was a pretty young coach coaching the high school team that I used to play for. And that was around 1999, and I've been coaching ever since.
What was it about Ultimate Frisbee that attracted you to it?
You know, it's a combination of a bunch of things. It's the fact that I really love sports. I really love to compete. And the fast-paced movement of Ultimate really makes it unique to me because it's a combination of football, soccer, and basketball without, obviously, the tackling from football. And the fact that it has this like very tight-knit community where you're competing against some of the top athletes in the country for this sport, and it's not just like locally. In most high schools you're playing other New Jersey teams, but for the high school level of Ultimate, you're playing local teams, you're playing teams from Virginia, you're playing teams sometimes from Seattle or even Minnesota, just at different tournaments in Massachusetts, DC, etc. So it's a very unique sport that makes me enjoy it, but it's also obviously like coaching wise, it's the players who I've come across, and I have yet to meet like a person that I don't enjoy coaching or working with when it comes to Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So at the time growing up, did you have any idea that Ultimate Frisbee would be such a big part in your life and have such an impact on you?
No, I mean, growing up, it was like I was focused on main sports. I was a big baseball fan when I was a kid, and then I grew into more of a basketball fan, and I enjoy football quite a bit too. So, thinking sports-wise, like, I just wanted to be involved in any sport possible. But then being so young when I got involved in Ultimate, it's definitely like, every kid's dream to be able to do pro whatever in whatever sport you're starting to do. So that was definitely one of my dreams as a kid that fortunately we have a pro league now, and I was able to be able to participate in that.
How did Maplewood, New Jersey become the birthplace of the sport?
So the history is, and there's a little like fogginess with it. The originators played some form of Frisbee football at a camp in Amherst, Massachusetts, and then they brought that game to CHS, where they then developed rules. They created apparently the name Ultimate Frisbee. And one of the creators is actually a famous producer, Joel Silver, who has done like movies like The Matrix and other movies like that. And his friends, Buzzy Hellring and Johnny Hines, they all kind of created this sport where they played in a parking lot, endless end zones, no out of bounds, under the lights of the parking lot and just having fun flinging around the Frisbee. And then they played a game against Milburn. And they just kind of, each school, they kind of like helped try to get each school to just build more and more so that they had more teams in the area.
Right.
And then it just kind of took off from there.
Mm-hmm. So, for someone who's never watched Ultimate Frisbee before, can you explain it in simple terms for our viewers so they can have a better understanding of what the sport really is?
Sure. So it's a 7v7 game. It's a field, so it depends on the level. If it's a pro field, it's a size of a football field. If it's the club fields, it's a 40 by 70 yard field with 20-yard end zones. And it's a lot of movement. It's constant movement.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to soccer, you can move the disc like backwards, forwards, sideways, whatever you need to do. But you have to complete throws to another person on your team. And how you score is if it goes over the end zone line and you catch it, it's a goal. The other important factor is like when you're running and you catch the disc, you have to establish a pivot foot and you can't run with the disc.
Mm-hmm.
So it's similar to basketball where when you stop your dribble, you kind of have to establish a pivot and you have to move it.
I know I had an opportunity. I saw you guys play a couple of years now ago in Freehold.
Yeah.
And I remember Max and Murray kind of giving me directions on how to get in. And it was, you pulled into this park and they said, you're going to come to this real big tree and you're going to see a sign and just go to the right. And sure enough, that's what it was. But then you opened up to these fields and it was like at least 4 or 5 fields and all these games going on. And the first thing that I remembered was that they lined up and they throw the disc as if it's a kickoff. And it's, and then you catch it and, basically possession changes if it hits the ground or if it, I guess it would be, I don't know if it's called an interception, but it's similar to that in football where, and then after every score, it seems like there's always a huddle, if I remember correctly.
So you can do it multiple ways. We have since mostly do lines where we have like an offensive line,
right,
which is when we're receiving the disc, or we do defensive lines when we're pulling the disc / kind of like a kickoff that you were discussing. And that way it's a lot easier to just call the subs because we're like, hey, line 1, line 2, line 3, however it works, or we name the lines to make it more fun for the high school kids. But yeah, it's quick scores because you have only 80 seconds to throw the disc or pull the disc, as we like to say it, to the other team between points.
I remember in high school we used to play Ultimate Frisbee in gym class. There was like the forehand, the backhand, like there's different techniques of throwing.
Yeah. The flick of the wrist.
This one, like the forward one, I never got that one. I can do this one, I can't do this one.
Yeah, the forehand actually is, not to brag, but I feel like New Jersey is known for their mechanics of the forehand throw. But like the forehand is one of the kids' favorites to learn because it's like real quick. Like you don't have to wind up or anything. You can just kind of flick the wrist and throw it down.
Yeah, this one's a wind up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of core.
Gotcha.
I know a couple of years ago I worked with the team at Westfield.
Yeah.
And we'll be back out there again. By the time this episode airs, around the second week of September, I probably will have already done my first session with them.
Yeah.
But I think what I found to be very fascinating was the level of athleticism on the field. Because having never seen the sport up until that moment, I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about the athleticism of the sport and the players that are involved in it?
Sure. So the athleticism in the sport has grown tremendously because originally it was kind of like this anti-sport creation with a bunch of hippies who were just like, I don't feel like playing any other sport. But then all of a sudden their athletic friends were like, I also want to play this.
Right.
I do know, like, when I was in college at William Patterson, some of the track coaches would allow that to be like a workout for their track team. Because, like I said, it's constant running and constant movement. You need to be able to run fast. You need to be able to jump high. You need to be able to have a lot of quick movements and cuts in Ultimate. So it is, you do need to be in fantastic shape, but also be an athlete. Some of our best athletes are people who, one of the best athletes that's ever played this game for us was a guy named Bo Kittredge. He's won every kind of award and accolade that you could possibly think of in the sport. And he's somebody who would be like, oh, I just feel like training and maybe I can like possibly be an Olympic runner. Right. And there's videos of him like jumping over people, like full on 6-foot person, him just like Vince Cartering it right over him. Right. So the athleticism is there, and it's been growing a lot, and we're getting more and more strong athletes out there. Right now, Boston Glory has one of the best athletes I think I've ever seen in any sport, which is Jeff Babbitt, who is fast, tall, and built like a linebacker. So, yeah.
Well, and I think just kind of piggybacking the Westfield thing, there's at least three players that I'm aware of that I've personally worked with. Murray Topolo, who's at the University of Pittsburgh.
Correct.
Max Eisenman, who's at JMU, James Madison.
Right.
And Ethan Selvers, who will be donning the University of Virginia uniform very soon to compete there. So, and then also, too, not discrediting anyone, Luke Barry, who went to James Madison as well.
Yep.
And Art, you can probably answer this question better, but I've heard arguably one of the best players to come out of the Westfield program, who I now know because he works with me at the academy, is Andrew Lemberg.
I was waiting for that name.
Yes, he went to University of Pittsburgh as well.
Yep.
Andrew will be joining us out there on the field with the team training.
Oh, great.
He'll be out there with them. But why do you think Westfield has produced so much talent?
Okay, so Westfield has produced a lot of talent and a lot of great players because of the hard work from Ryan Boleen, who started the program. I restarted the program because the program was around in the 70s apparently, and then took a dip. But he restarted the program once he started working there, and I want to say that was like around 2007 or 8.
Right.
And he started recruiting kids in his math class, and a lot of that has to do with his passion for the sport. We both played in college against each other. We played on club teams together. And the other great thing about Westfield is the fact that we have several Ultimate players who work within the district. I work there as a computer specialist / Google specialist. Boleen works there as a math teacher. We also have a couple of math teachers and science teachers who have also played Ultimate at high levels and are able to like help out and coach as well. But it also starts at the middle school level, which is one of the most important things because these kids get an early opportunity to play Ultimate and develop these skills, and then they get to bring them all the way up to the high school level. So like the people that you've mentioned have been playing since they were in like 6th grade.
Right.
Andrew started playing in 6th, I think, and he was at one point one of the top players in college. And it starts early, and we also just find these athletes who don't realize that they're athletes until they start playing.
Yeah, and I also found that it was a good outlet too, because there are some athletes that are not maybe interested in the physical contact of the football, lacrosse. Maybe they find baseball a little too boring. But but in Ultimate, you're out there. It's I get if you've never seen the sport in action, it's very competitive. At least, and I don't know if it pertains to the professional level, but I found it interesting. It's self-refereeing at the club level, at least the game I went to, which I found interesting.
Oh, they don't have. There's no referees.
So okay, there are different levels of Ultimate, like I said. So the high school level, college level, and club level are self-officiated with sometimes, on occasion, observers. Observers can make active out of bounds, inbounds, and goal calls, but they are usually just like bystanders who are, if a decision can't come at a like quick time limit, they go to the observer, and the observer just makes the final decision. That's usually at the club level and at the high levels of college. And then there's some times that's happening within the high school level as well. The pro level has referees, and it's a good thing to have at the pro level, because what it does is they not only they keep the pace of the game going, but they also help keep the game, like, they let the players just focus on playing. So there's a stall count. When you have the disc, you have 10 seconds to throw it in club and college and high school, but there's 7 seconds in the pro. In high school, college, and club, you're counting down those 10 seconds. When you're playing in the pro leagues, the referees are counting down those 10 seconds. And again, it just allows those players to just focus on playing, playing good defense, playing like offense, and just moving the disc. And if a call happens, it's out of our hands. Like, we can't argue it. It's the referee.
Yeah.
So it is a little, like I said, the high school level, which I love the fact that the high school level and college level has these observers or non-observed games, because it allows these kids to learn the rules, also learn about sportsmanship, and also like work on conflict.
Yeah. So what does a practice look like? How do you train your athletes with the combination of speed, agility, and throwing precision?
Sure. So we have our practices are usually about 2.5-ish hours. There's again 2 different styles of practice, right? So for the high school kids, it's like teach a skill, drill that skill, and then we can scrimmage. But with the strength and conditioning and agility, obviously, like, we bring in like people like Harry who come in and they get like a half an hour with each group.
Yeah.
And we try to do it by grade so that they're similar body types, similar like, strength sizes and everything.
Yeah.
And we let Harry do his work with the agility stuff, and then go from there with that. With the pro team, which is a little bit different because they all have advanced knowledge of Ultimate, it's like, here's the strategy that we're focusing on for this game. Here's what we're going to do, and we explain it to them. We drill it out a little bit. We scrimmage it, and then we have our strength and conditioning coach there, but they're more giving out programs outside of practice so that the players work out on their own, because they're adults, and you kind of have to trust that they're going to be able to do it without us just guiding them.
You helped found the Delaware Valley Youth League.
Yes.
I believe DEVYL, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yep.
Can you speak a little bit about that and how that all evolved?
Sure. So in 2007, we brought our first team to the Youth Club Championships, also known as YCCs. And it was a huge experience because we took players. It's similar to, I guess you would say, like AAU basketball, where you take players from all the different areas of the Delaware Valley, basically. We had kids from Pennsbury High School, which is right over the border of Trenton. We had kids from West Windsor. We had kids from CHS, Columbia High School, Westfield. And we kind of just put them all together onto a club team. And then the Youth Club Championships is a chance for you to compete for a national title against other youth club teams. So it would be like if our AAU basketball team out of New Jersey is competing against DC's AAU team out in Minnesota at that time. It came about because we were noticing that other high school teams in other states were having players develop a little bit quicker. And we wanted to provide some sort of more ultimate to happen for these kids to be able to compete and be able to also maintain the same level of abilities as the other area ultimate teams are having. The other reason is because we wanted it to give more opportunity within the state to play ultimate. Which this allows some of the like players who are like their best player on their team be able to compete with other of the best players on the other teams and help them grow, develop, and maybe even grow their team and develop, because they get to take what they learned from DEVYL to their teams and help build from there. So that's kind of how it started. It was developed by both me and Ryan Thompson, who was a player that played for me when I was coaching at CHS, Stanford alum, high-level coach now as well. And it just kind of grew from there. So the first year that we were officially DEVYL was 2008, and you had a bunch of kids who, some of them flew out to Minnesota, some of them just all hopped into like their 1970s Winnebago, which was insane to see, where two parents were driving all the way up from like Yardley, Pennsylvania, all the way up to Minnesota. And they got to compete against some of the best players in the country. And those players then developed and won a championship for me at in 2010 at YCCs. So, we had a lot of development, a lot of growth, and a lot of those players went on to win at the other levels too, in the higher levels.
That's awesome.
Great way to see the country. Jump in a car and drive,
just
drive across.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's changed a lot, because we say, okay, now everybody has to go to Newark Airport. Everybody's taking the same flight. Everybody's like, it was a different time, because it's one of those things where it's a little bit like the Wild Wild West. Like any new sport-ish is coming of age. But it was a ton of fun at that point in time, but now we've obviously learned a lot more about safety.
Well, they can still have fun in
security.
Newark, because most of those planes don't take off and land on time anyway.
That's what happened to us this year.
So college ultimate has grown significantly over the past couple decades.
Yep.
What would you say has contributed the most to the growth?
I think it's the fact that ultimate is a lot more visible. There's also a whole lot more high school teams that help develop players, and then when they get to college, they want to play in college. I think that it's also one of the things that, again, it's a unique sport. If you're only a handful of people can get scholarships and play baseball. Only a handful of people can do that for basketball, football, etc. But it allows those athletes who maybe didn't get a scholarship to go to Rutgers or go to JMU or wherever to still compete and play in a sport. And usually after the first tournament, players are hooked. And I think that between visibility, between growth, between the fact that we've been gaining more and more athletes, has made this a little bit more of a competitive thing in college.
Gotcha.
Are high school players being recruited by schools, or is it just they know there's a program there, they kind of show up, hey, I'm a player, and they try out?
It's a little bit of both. So Pittsburgh is very well known for recruiting. So as you said, Andrew went to Pittsburgh, and he knew that he was playing ultimate there because there were several players who were on the Pittsburgh team constantly talking to him about coming to Pittsburgh. They used to do DVDs of their highlights, and they would go to tournaments and hand them out to the kids. They do a youth outreach weekend where they have kids who are interested in going to Pittsburgh go up, stay at the university, practice with the team, get coaching from their coaches, and help develop that program and recruit those kids. Rutgers is just starting to kind of do that as well. I know that, but yeah, there's some heavy recruiting. Like my nephew Anthony is going to Rutgers in a couple of weeks, and since he was in 7th grade, the Rutgers coaches have been so, it's local, Rutgers. Your mom went there, your uncle coached there for a little bit. Why not? And he did look at a bunch of schools. All those schools had ultimate involved. And his final decision was to go local, which is great for me because I get to watch him play.
Right.
But it was an interesting thing because when he applied to a Penn State or Maryland, once he got accepted, all of a sudden the Penn State alum that are in the area or the Maryland ultimate alum are hey, you should think about this. And while there isn't any scholarships or money, it's very similar to. I like to compare it to. It's very similar to being a D3 athlete, right? Because you're not getting a scholarship for doing this. It's because you're really passionate and love this sport, and you understand the sacrifice that you're going to have to put forth in order to be successful with this.
Does the sport have a future growing from the club level at the college ranks, or does it stay where it's at?
It's hard to say. So we have an overall governing body called USA Ultimate, which makes us be a little bit more of a legitimate sport. And while it is a club sport, it's also like still have to be able to, you still have to be a student at the school and enrolled, and you have to be a part-time student at minimum with the credits and everything else. So it is, I guess, possible. It would just depend, because talking about it with even making it a varsity sport, there's a lot of things that high school teams would have to sacrifice in order to be in the NJSIAA, right? Because then they wouldn't be traveling as much out of state. They would have to, obviously maybe certain equipment that they would have to have, like mouth guards, etc. There's a lot that would have to happen for it to happen. And once that happens within the states, then the colleges do it. There are some colleges that are offering Frisbee scholarships. So Oklahoma City Christian and Davenport University have set it up where some of their players are going there for free because they went all in, and that's their sport, Ultimate. And it's working out for them. They're D3 schools, but they are competing in the quarters, semis, and finals of D3 nationals. These kids get to get their tuition covered. Sometimes they get their housing covered. Sometimes, it all kind of depends, because they're small enough university that they're like, this is what we want to put our efforts towards as far as sports go. And they're rightfully so. There's a lot of really good Ultimate players who are good students on top of it, and it attracts other good students once they start doing that.
What I like about the sport, in the little bit that I have seen it, is that it provides an opportunity for individuals to play that maybe are undersized or not quite able to play other sports, but they have this outlet to still go in and say, hey, I was a collegiate athlete.
Right.
And that's what the sport is now providing to a lot of these young men and women.
Sure.
So the next segment we put together was a little bit of like a fact or myth kind of thing, just so our viewers can get a little more knowledge about the sport. So myth or fact, you can run while holding the disc.
So it is a myth that you can run while holding the disc, but you are allowed 3 steps with momentum. So if you're running in a straight line, you catch the disc and you have 3 steps to stop and then be able to pivot in a straight line. As soon as you change direction, that's a travel.
Gotcha.
Well, I guess this would be a good one. Professional Ultimate players make a full-time living from the sport.
Some do.
Through sponsorships?
Through sponsorships, through ownerships. There are some who have made a living off of Pro Ultimate, but it's a very small amount. So, it's hard to have the facts or the myth when the fact is that there are some players out there, because there's some ownerships that are willing to really put out the money to make sure that this is their only focus and their only job.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You have to be tall in order to be successful at Ultimate.
Not true. False. Myth.
Yeah.
I guess, there are some, yes, it's helpful. It is not necessary. I am 5'10", and I was successful in Ultimate. Andrew, I think, is 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah, he's about my height.
Yeah, and he was extremely successful in Ultimate. So you do not need to be tall. You just need to be good.
There you go.
Last one, and I guess this is kind of a funny one. Ultimate is just a Frisbee being tossed around in the park. But I'll follow up with that so you can kind of roll into it. But then how do you convince people that this is a legitimate real sport compared to other sports?
Sure. So if you want to take the philosophical approach, yeah, it is just a frisbee being thrown around in a park. Like a stadium is technically a park.
But where I was in Freehold was definitely a field, so it would qualify as a park.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because it was Turkey Swamp Park.
Yes.
So
it was like the enchanted forest driving through those trees there.
try camping there. It's kind of amazing.
I was afraid leaving. I wasn't sure I was going to make a wrong turn into a tree.
But yeah, in a way, like if you're looking in that deep philosophical way, yeah, it's just a bunch of friends hanging out, throwing around the bee or flinging the bee as they call it in like a park. But in reality, the legitimacy of Ultimate it increases every year. It helps to have this pro league out there, the UFA, which formerly of the AUDL. I was on live TV on Fox Sports, winning 2 championships with the Empire in the finals of our league. There's highlights on SportsCenter. We just had one 2 weeks ago from YCC's of a kid from Philly getting this second chance catch where it's called a layout where you dive for the disc because the guy got a bid, hit the disc, and it stayed up, and he ran and sprinted and laid out and caught it, and it wound up being number 1 on SportsCenter. So we're on SportsCenter highlights. We're definitely more and more legitimate. Like I said, luckily Empire has fantastic ownership. Shout out to the Stevens family, who not only makes it a family feeling and establishment, but also treats it like a professional sport where they pay their players, they pay their coaches, they make sure that everybody just has to focus on their individual jobs and what they need to do. And they also provide a lot of help whenever we need it for anything. So, yeah, it's definitely growing more and more into the legitimate sport.
So if we pivot to the New York Empire,
sure.
We talk a little about, how did you come about getting that job? Sure. Where does the team play its games? And is the league set up where there's a draft, or is it predominantly free agency, or how does that all work?
So how I got the job was in 2021, coming off of the pandemic. They reached out to both my former co-head coach, Charlie Hoppus, and they reached out to me, and we talked to them, and we were co-head coaches. So they, the negotiation happens, and we signed, but we signed with only 2 to 3 weeks before the season starts because we weren't sure how this was going to work because we're just coming off of the pandemic. So it's 2021. It is all based on free agency because there's not enough money yet to make it where you're like, okay, fly yourself out of whatever area you are. We drafted you. Now you've got to live in New York, or now you've got to live in New Jersey, or wherever is close by for those fields in those practices. So it is all based on free agency. We, like I said, we're very lucky to have ownership who works really hard. Our general manager / coach / owner, Matt Stevens, was an Ultimate player on Empire for a long, long time, and is one of the top 10 in all-time goals for the league. He works really hard to make sure that we get the right players. And so, we have had players who have moved from Atlanta to the New York, Connecticut area, or from Massachusetts down, to make sure that they have everything that they need to make this team be a championship contender. And that's really great. The other question that you asked, which was
where do you guys compete?
Where do we compete?
Yes.
So we practice in New Rochelle at Flowers Park and Facina Stadium. We had home games there, but we also had home games at Memorial Stadium in Mount Vernon, which is a surreal place to go. If you both of you let me know if you want to go to a game, I will definitely set you up for next season. The stadium itself is truly like a professional stadium. It's got the video scoreboard. It's got tons of seating for fans. It's got concessions, everything that could give a fantastic fan experience. And so that's the 2 locations that we were playing at this year.
If I'm not mistaken, Mount Vernon's very historic too up there, so be a good place to go.
Harry knows everything about history. He's very, very big history buff.
George Washington was up in Mount Vernon, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Mount Vernon, he's from Mount Vernon, Virginia.
But it wasn't up in the New York area as well. Maybe I'm getting my history. Hopefully, I'm not making a fool of myself right now. But I thought I thought he was in New York also.
I'm a big history buff too, so I know in every town there's a house where George Washington slept in. Apparently,
right? Maybe that's what I remember Mount Vernon, New York, as being there. Maybe he slept in one of those houses up there.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
It's possible.
So
I'm close.
So where do you see Ultimate going in the next 10 years?
So this morning at 5:30 in the morning was the Goodwill Games World Games competition, which is just like a step below the Olympics, where Team USA won by 1 point against Canada for the gold medal, and there are other sports competing around the same time, and they got to like very similar experience to the Olympics. So like there was Taekwondo, there was like rugby, etc., all being played by every different country. And I could see it growing, depending upon some of the rules, some of the things that go on with the red tape. That part I don't know, but I could see it being a huge Olympic sport. I also could see it being growing into a pro sport that people like, similar to like Pop Warner football or playing rec basketball. A kid who grows up wanting to be a pro, like ultimate player, and being able to do that as their full-time job. Like I could definitely see that happening. We're not there yet, but I can tell that it's going to be close. We have a contract with Whammo with the UFA so that we could call our disc a Frisbee. And like we have some big contracts with a lot of different companies, and it's constantly growing. It's constantly getting bigger. And again, visibility is huge. And I can see us growing into being one of those things where it's like, hey, you turn on SportsCenter, it's not just like a top 10 clip. It's, hey, the New York Empire played the DC Breeze last night. Here are the highlights.
Yeah, and not on the was it the Ocho Cinco that they'll put up there once a year with all those random sports. But yeah, I know, John. I know a lot of useless information.
Harry knows a lot of things.
Well, final question, Coach. It's something that we always ask all of our guests. Being a teacher, being a coach yourself, what advice can you give out there to the young athletes who maybe are considering this sport, to their families, and just where, you know, with where you've seen the sport evolve from the beginning to where it is now? What advice can you offer to those individuals?
Basically, don't take it so seriously that you lose the fun aspect of Ultimate. That is the best advice for any sport that I could give anybody, because once it becomes a job, it doesn't become fun anymore.
Right.
And once it doesn't become fun anymore, then you start losing and you start getting that like burnout feeling. The other thing I have is always throw a Frisbee whenever you get the opportunity, because there's different angles, different things, different mechanics that you could always learn. And if you're constantly throwing, you're constantly getting better. You know, I do see a bunch of people who, when they start becoming adults, get burned out from Frisbee, and it's because they don't have that same kind of passion. And Frisbee is a game. Just like any sport, it's a game, and games are meant to be fun. I think that was Tom Hanks said that, right, at League of Their Own. And it's true. Like, when you're enjoying yourself, when you're having fun, like, I mean, you're a wrestler, you know, it's like if you're so dead on focused on just winning, why are we doing it?
Yeah, it takes the fun out of it. You got to enjoy the process.
Exactly. And going in with that clear head of having fun in the mental space that it is it takes a lot more pressure off of you, and it makes you a little bit more loose and ready to compete.
Well, Coach, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us in studio and to tell your story and to educate not just us, but hopefully our listeners and guests as well in the sport of ultimate Frisbee. Continued success in the sport with your team.
Thank you.
We may very well take you up on that offer to come see the sport. I try to educate him and expose him to new things every once in a while.
We're going to Idaho too. You want to go?
Well, we had Coach Ford back on episode 25. He's the head football coach at the University of Idaho.
Okay.
We enjoy road trips, so we're getting our 2026 list of trips and traveling up to speed.
Let me know when you go. I'll join you. I would love to go to Idaho.
Appreciate it. Well, first time for both of us, I think we'll be out there.
Yep.
Well, Coach, again, thank you very much for taking the time to be a part of this. That is a wrap on episode 33 of Destination Talk with Paz and Harry. Until we see you again,